Hello everyone, and welcome to the NMC's On the Horizon event. Today we're talking all about the 2014 NMC Summer Conference, happening this June 17th through the 19th in Portland, Oregon. Before we begin today's panel, I would like to introduce Glenn Katz from Autodesk.
Hey there, Holly. Thank you very much. So I'm Glenn Katz from Autodesk. I work in the education group here, and I focus on really how design and emerging technologies are really enhancing the way we're using design in the classrooms, both secondary and at the college level. So I'm very pleased to be here with you.
Thank you, Glenn. And next we have Dr. Jason Oler.
Hi, Holly. Hi, everybody. I've been in higher education / K-12 education for 34 years. Having developed one of the early masters in educational technology for K-12 teachers and have been at it ever since. Areas that I am passionate about are Art, the Fourth R, and why art has become a generalized literacy across the curriculum, digital citizenship and the ethics of being online, emerging technologies, and digital literacy.
Thank you, Jason. And next we have Dr. Julia Pena.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Holly. I am an assistant professor at New Mexico State University in the College of Education here in Las Cruces, New Mexico, the land of enchantment and home to the most beautiful sunsets in the entire world. In my research, I investigate innovation in the design of online and blended learning environments and empowerment with technology. And I focus on areas like professional development, faculty development, online blended and teaching and learning, innovative learning design, educational learning technologies, emerging technologies, social media, and connectedness. I'm always up for a challenge and an adventure. I decided recently to jump into the wild west of MOOCs and recently signed up for Experience STEM, where I'll be paragliding with a Go Hero camera. So I'm just really excited to be here.
Well, it certainly sounds like you keep your days very full and not surprising. And next we have Nancy House.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy House with the NMC. I'm the Senior Director of Member Services and the Meeting Planner, and I look so forward to seeing all of you in Portland in June.
Thank you, Nancy. And after that, we have Pierre Poulin.
Thank you, Holly. Hello, everybody. My name is Pierre Poulin from Montreal. I have been teaching elementary school for 20 years. I'm also a PhD student and searching about new ways to bring teachers in the confidence to make the necessary changes to use the ICTs in classrooms at its best.
Excellent, thank you. And next we have Samantha Becker.
Hi everyone, as Holly said, my name is Samantha Becker, and I am fortunate enough to be the Senior Director of Communications for the NMC, as well as the Director of the NMC Horizon Project. I'm really excited for the conference this year. I will be running social media and communications so everyone can feel really connected, whether they're at the conference or listening in from afar. And I also have the honor of co-presenting with Holly Ludgate for an orientation session for newcomers, as well as with Nancy House. And additionally, I will be presenting on the release of the NMC Horizon Report 2014 K-12 edition. So I can't wait to see everyone there.
Thank you, Samantha. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Wendy Shapiro.
Well, hello, all you NMCers and future NMCers out there. I guess I am particularly pleased to be in springtime in Cleveland, finally. I'm at Case Western Reserve University and am the Senior Academic Technology Officer. Many different projects and opportunities and strategies that we're working related to academic technology.
Thank you. And I'm Holly Ludgate. I am the Senior Director of Program Development here at the NMC, and I also am the Director of the NMC Academy. So you may be wondering why all of these really exciting and important people are on this panel today, and they are all in fact involved in the conference in some capacity. What we're going to start doing is talking about how you can interact with them and where you might see them at the summer conference this year. So before we really dig into what's coming this year, I want to reflect a little bit. So let me take this question to Wendy. So what was your experience like in some of your past conferences that you've been to with the NMC?
So first of all, what I want to say is this is going to be the 11th year that I'm coming to the conference. The minute I was introduced to NMC, then I was hooked. My experiences, many things come out in my mind. I often, in conversation when I'm talking to friends, talk about the difference between NMC's conference and other conferences. And it's a place, it's a showcase, but even more than a showcase, it's a sharing place where you come up with, you share your new ideas, get new ideas from others, and build partnerships and friendships. It's terrific.
And the sharing place, that is so true, and it resonates so much with what the NMC is really all about. It's the community and the people and what they're doing, and just illustrating and highlighting our membership base. Have you met anybody significant at the NMC that you maybe want to touch on a little bit for us, that has maybe developed into a project or something like that?
Well, through the years, I've had many opportunities. I should say at maybe it was around the 10th year, I mean, I've been that connected that this year, even starting last year, I'm now on the board of NMC. And so I certainly have made many close friendships. So like that's what's interesting, because it starts with partnership and it goes right into friendship. And then these become colleagues, and I can't help but saying friends, because you have like minds, this creativity and the energy of doing. I've been involved in projects through the years. There was the Pachyderm project with the museums and San Francisco Museum of Art. There was the Second Life project that I was involved in, and I know that's still going on. Anyway, what happens is I could go on probably for the entire hour for all of the connections and friends that I've made.
And you know, that I feel is sometimes what's missing at a lot of conferences, is sometimes they get too big and it's hard to connect with enough people, and you have every intention of meeting with them, but there's just not that dedicated time to really sit down and have those conversations. And for me personally, going to several NMC conferences, that's something that I've always enjoyed, is just sitting down in the morning or in the afternoon and really kind of unpacking all of the interesting things happening. So thank you for sharing that. So one of the questions I do have for you, Wendy, is how are you actually able to take what you learn at the conference and apply it into your practice?
Well, I have to say, and this is something that I really want to highlight, is that there are multiple things that happen. Not only are you participating at the conference, but there are materials. I would say the one that I have to bring up for sure is the Horizon Report. And because of what I do at the university, I'm able to bring that Horizon Report to even policy-making committees and use this as a springboard to talk about the need and the excitement around academic technology. Sometimes in the business of a university, that kind of gets pushed to the side. And this is a way that I pull it right back front and center, and the conversations begin, and various even resources that we're able to get to support some of the projects that we're doing. And that links right back to NMC.
It's invaluable, absolutely. Yeah, the Horizon Report is definitely a pillar of our work, and it's so exciting to be able to share that and see how it empowers voices all over the globe. So thank you for sharing that. I think, Julia, did you have something you wanted to add to this conversation?
Well, this is going to be my first time, and I have to say, when I first came across the Horizon Report, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I don't know what took me so long, I was really impressed with the quality and the resource that it was, and have used it ever since in a variety of presentations and conversations, and for resources for my classes and things like that. So when I saw this come up as an opportunity to do a workshop or something, I don't really attend conferences unless I do something at them to justify going. So when I had that opportunity, I jumped on it and was ecstatic when I was accepted. So I'm just beyond excited to be there this year.
Well, and on a personal side note, I was very excited to see you had applied and were accepted to the conference, because Julia and I went through our doctoral program together, so it'll be exciting to hang out with her again. Okay, back to the plan. I want to hear about what's new this year. Nancy, can you give us a lowdown on what's going on at the summer conference?
Sure. This year we're really excited. We have a new conference schedule. And so Just kind of to back up just a little bit, just added yesterday was a new street photography workshop that's going to start on Monday evening for photographers out there, and then go into Tuesday along with the other pre-conference workshops. And then we'll have our opening reception on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday morning we kick off with the opening keynote by Dr. Jason Oler, who will speak to that in just a minute. Then during that day we have lots of breakout sessions, and then we have the 5 Minutes of Fame, ever so popular, and we are going to have a special presentation by Bill Frakes, a famous photojournalist. And then Thursday we're going to have more breakout sessions, the Ideal Lab, and we'll close the day, and this is new, we'll have the closing keynote at 5 to end at 5 o'clock that day on Thursday. So the schedule's changed, no Friday events. That's about it. I think Alex can share links. We have both of those schedules. We have a schedule in a PDF form that you can print and look at. And we also have, from our new event system, a new schedule that's online, and you can add events to your own calendar after you review the program and decide what you want to go see that day.
That's quite handy depending on what device you're using. So that's a big win for conference goers. And let me move on to Samantha to talk about something new we're doing this year.
Yes, so I'm really excited to talk about the new themes we have for our sessions this year, or we like to refer to them as pathways, because they're really pathways to different ways of thinking about teaching and learning. And so this year we're really excited to present an exciting new lineup of pathways, including 3D printing and making, data visualization technologies, digital strategies, games and gamification, learning technologies, media production, and social media technologies. And there's descriptions of all these available on the site, but just to delve into a few of my personal favorites, if I'm allowed to have favorites, I'm particularly excited about 3D printing and making because I think we're in all education sectors really seeing a shift from students being content consumers to creators, actually making products, developing services that are impacting the real world right now. And 3D printing technologies really enables these more hands-on learning experiences. So I know Glenn will probably be talking about his session in a bit, but I had the privilege of taking a tour of the Autodesk facilities, and I would encourage you not to miss his sessions that really incorporate what's new in 3D printing. Another pathway I'm really excited about is games and gamification. Everything from creating and integrating video games in the classroom to actually using gaming mechanics like badging to reward and incentivize learners. There's tons of great breakout sessions all the way through the event. I'm really excited about digital strategies. I think digital strategies is something that all educators and education professionals are considering deeply at their institutions. Things like how to harness the power of technology to really reimagine how content and curriculum could be delivered and developed. I think you'll see a lot of emphasis on the flipped classroom and BYOD policies, and lots of other really useful strategies and skills. So those are just a few of the pathways, and I encourage you to check the NMC Summer Conference website where we elaborate on other tidbits you'll be able to pick up and bring back with you to your institutions.
Thanks, Sam. And I know Alex just put the link in the Q&A chat of Google On Air. So if you're looking for that pathway link or the link earlier that Nancy was talking about for the summer conference schedule, those are all up there. So now I want to give everybody a chance just for a minute or two to talk about what they're going to be presenting at this summer conference, to give you a tidbit of information. So we're actually going to start backwards, going backwards on from my right to my left this time. So we'll start with Wendy.
Gotta get ready here. All right, I gotta pull up the title. We're doing a presentation on one of the projects we're working on at CASE. The title is Developing Partnerships Beyond the One-Night Stand. We thought that was relevant. And it deals with a project, a massive project actually we're working on at the university on designing new learning spaces, but really the focus is on working with a subset of faculty that we're calling active learning fellows that we've worked with the entire year and how the transformation is happening and where the project is going. And this session will engage the participants in active learning. We're not going to talk at you. We're going to let you be active.
Well, I will tell you, a tidbit is I don't think Wendy sleeps the entire conference because I see her everywhere. So if you want to pull her aside and talk to her, she is always open to a conversation, and she runs that floor from top to bottom. So that is Wendy Shapiro. And next, we've got Samantha Becker.
As I had mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, I'm really excited to be presenting with Dr. Larry Johnson on the NMC Horizon Report 2014 K-12 edition. This year, the format is entirely new. We really expanded the Trends and Challenges section to really focus on the trends and challenges that are impacting EdTech adoption in schools. And so we're releasing the preview publicly tomorrow or in the next couple of days on our website. But just to give you a preview of the preview, a couple of the topics we'll be discussing in the report will be BYOD, cloud computing, the Internet of Things, wearable technology. And then in terms of trends, we're really thinking this year about reimagining the roles of teachers and what does a teacher do in the 21st century classroom. We're also looking at models of authentic learning, how to instill more deeper learning in the classroom by taking on new approaches like challenge-based, inquiry-based, and project-based learning. All of that will be in a short preview form on our website soon, but we're excited to say that we'll be officially releasing the report in all of its glory in full format at the NMC Summer Conference. So if you are there, you will have a front row seat to the release, and you'll be the first people to get the copies. So want to make sure to not miss that session.
I'm getting goosebumps over here, Sam.
Woo!
Very exciting. And before we move on to Pierre, I just want to interject. If you have any questions for any of the panel members or any logistic questions about Summer Conference, feel free to put those in the Q&A area and +1 them, and we'll be sure to get your questions answered during this session. So thank you, Sam. Next, Pierre.
Thank you, Holly. You know, in education here in Canada, everyone says that education needs a change and that we need to introduce new standards, a new way of doing things, especially if we want to have to use this massive effect that can have technologies in the classroom. So I would say that I'd like to present what I did with my team, how we did it, how we made those change, how we apply maybe more of the research, the results of the research we can read and hear about, how we bring teachers to campaign for better teaching, improve practices, and above all, I'm happy to be there at the NMC to convince people who might not be convinced yet.
Well, we're excited to have you. And if any of you aren't aware, Pierre is also an NMC K-12 ambassador, so we're excited to have him come to our summer conference. Nancy, could you talk maybe just a minute about the orientation session?
Yes, thanks, Holly. On Tuesday afternoon from 4 to 5 o'clock, Holly, Samantha, and I will be conducting a NMC newcomer and new member orientation, and that's just to help get everybody acquainted with what's going on at the conference, how to get into the sessions. There'll be a certain number of seats in every room, and tips and tricks on what's going to happen and how to get around, how best to meet people, network with people, and what to expect. And so we hope that even if you've been to a conference before, please feel free to join us.
We would love to meet all of you new conference goers and welcome you appropriately, as the NMC does. Next, Julia.
Hi again. So as you all know, we live in an amazing time with access to the world of information at our fingertips. If information and knowledge are power, then at no time ever before in history has the average person had so much power, or at least the potential for power. And of course, as you all know, in addition to information, the tools are pretty awesome. But I know that sometimes I get caught up in the fact that things are always in flux and ever-changing. So I was thinking, it's a great time to pause, survey this exciting landscape, and create as well as curate innovative learning models and strategies that are engaging and represent what we currently know and have available. So with groups and resources like the New Media Consortium, Sloan C, Quality Matters, iNACOL, the top 100 tools for learning, and many great researchers at our fingertips with Google Scholar, we actually have some great research-based models, standards, and best practices that provide a foundation for creating online, blended, and just technology-integrated courses. So like a house, when your course has a strong foundation, then you can build on that foundation with everything that is awesome about you, your students, your content. And one thing that I think that is important is to figure out some of those things about your favorite strategies, your students, and content, and try to design models or processes that work for you and that you can share with others. So that is what I think awesome teaching and learning is about, moving beyond the best practices towards models for differentiation, addressing different content, reaching different populations, and etc. So with the workshop that I'll be doing, participants will discuss technology trends and their influence on learning theory and learning design, where we're seeing some cool new ideas emerge, such as connectivism, heutagogy, and hybrid pedagogy. And I'm also working on a massive open online course where the content and the learning design is based on what I like to refer to as these innovative learning design models. Things like, of course, MOOCs, HyFlex, PSTC, my own phases, scaffolds, and technology for collaborating, the multiplayer classroom, and co-design for democratic classrooms. So I'm just really excited to be able to come and hang out with you all and share some things that I'm doing.
And know that Julia is doing a pre-conference workshop, so if you are interested in joining her in this hands-on event, feel free to sign up for that. Next, Jason.
So this is just one of my most fun keynote speeches to do, because I do probably 4 or 5 specializing in the areas of how we turn students into articulate, well-researched, engaging digital storytellers across the curriculum. And online learning, I had over 1,000 online students before the internet was available. Digital literacy and digital citizenship, and how to get people to sort of balance what technology takes from us and gives to us at the same time. That's always the case. I get to sort of put all that to the side, at least for the keynote, and I do 5 trends that bend. And I choose 5 trends that interest me at the time. There's 15 trends that bend, but I have chosen big data, augmented reality, semantic web 3 and 4, which is the Internet of Connected Data and the Internet of Things, what I'm calling extreme BYOD, and whatever is extreme today will be sort of normal tomorrow. We all know how that works in transmedia storytelling. And I take 5 that I think are just now sort of entering education enough to be so disruptive that people are sort of in that somewhere between that the hype and the hope and the hype-hope cycle, wondering how they need to respond to it. And each one of those is viewed through the lens of digital citizenship. That is how the new technology connects us and disconnects us, and ultimately what its impact on education is or could be. I tell it in the form of a story, and the protagonist is out to solve a particular problem, and it's one of the first problems that we have created for ourselves in the infosphere that's systemic, and that's information overload. And sort of behind a lot of the technological developments over the past 10 years is the theme of, if there's way, way, way too much information for us to deal with, we need new technologies to sort of sift through it and reconnect it and make it make sense to us, and so on. And then the breakouts section is on digital citizenship, the term that K-12 anyway is given to how do I live a more ethical life online without sacrificing any of the inspiration that comes along with all the tremendous opportunities we have. I'm particularly interested in the fact that I think one of our big mistakes right now is that we have adults making the rules for kids when we should be saying to students and young adults, here's an issue. Google Glass in school, go. Give us the guidelines. And we are systematically robbing them of opportunities to think ethically. And the only way you develop those kind of neurological muscles is through practice. So I'll be featuring some of the work that I've done with middle and high school students in terms of the rules they make up on their own.
Well, I'm already riveted, so I'm not sure if I can wait till summer conference, but I'm going to have to. Thank you, Jason.
You bet.
And last but certainly not least, Glenn.
Oh, thank you, Holly. No, I'm so excited to actually be picking up on a lot of the themes that other people have been talking about and really starting to explore the whole notion of really how technology and some of the emerging technology available today really supports us in these things. It's really such an exciting time to be involved in. We have such cool things to be able to do: reality capture, easy modeling, students being able to very easily simulate things, and then ultimately 3D print out and make their creations. And you take all these different things and you think about where they're more impactful, and there's really sort of 2 sessions that I'm doing that I think sort of pull a lot of those themes together and really think about how they are going to impact us the most. One theme that we're really focused on is the whole notion of student engagement, and really how the ability to go through and get them involved in projects where they're working on real-world problems, can actually start to simulate, real-world solutions to those problems. Just gives us this opportunity to turn things around, to inspire them to really care about doing something, not just because we're asking them to, but really in a very self-motivated way, having them really pursue their dreams and have the ability to test them and actually realize some of their different designs. So one session is just all about engagement and ultimately how that increases the student's sense of commitment and their sense of self-efficacy, that it's really a lot of what technology can do to actually help flip these relationships in the classroom and really make the classroom time so much more meaningful. So one big session is all focused on that. The other one that I'm really particularly interested in and very fascinated with has to do with, it's all about the whole notion of how this technology can actually enhance the museum experience. And we spend a lot of time working with museums, and what we're all about is how we can augment that experience and really use technology to break down those walls and take the incredible resources that are available in museums, beyond that environment into the classroom. So by being able to do some very advanced visualization to let people take apart and explore museum exhibits, understand the science stories and the social stories behind the exhibits, and experience them before they get to the museum, have an enhanced experience while they're actually at the museum, and then after you're going home, continue to work with those artifacts and use those as inspiration for projects you can carry on in your own classroom. It's really just how to connect those threads. So there's some very cool things we're seeing on. We've been working on some really cool projects with the Smithsonian as well as some local institutions, and we're just seeing that as being a real groundbreaking area that I'm going to be very, very pleased to share some of what we've learned with the conference participants.
Well, we are definitely excited to have you join us, and I have to say your background is so mesmerizing. It is really your background. If anybody is wondering, that is not a backdrop. That is, in fact, the place where Glenn is. So the next question that I wanted to pose, and anybody can feel free to jump in, is what current projects are you working on that are actually going to kind of feed what you're going to talk about, and then what are you hoping that people actually get out of the presentation to take with them next? So I guess, Glenn, you're not on mute, or you are on mute. Okay, never mind. I was going to say you could start us off. Is there anybody who'd like to start us off on what you're working on?
I'll start, and it follows directly with what I was saying our presentation is, because we've completed the full year of working with the Active Learning Fellows. We created, with the support of the provost, a lot of pitching, a lot of working the system to get the support we needed. We created 2 classroom environments where active learning could happen and worked with the faculty. We are again this year in the process right now of designing 2 more rooms. And we know that the rooms themselves aren't the answer. There's many different things could be done. And I think this is really critical. You have another presenter this year, I believe, Malcolm. We have a cook here, or Brown. Malcolm Brown?
Malcolm Brown from EduCon.
Malcolm Brown. And they have a whole system to evaluate what is helpful in designing classrooms. And I would say, along with that, and I certainly have spoken to him about it, is how important it is to work with the faculty in the ways in which you transform education. And in many ways, we're all talking about the same thing. And I think that it's particularly in higher ed, in some ways, K-12 was way ahead of us. And higher ed, making this change of allowing students to be active in the classroom. And we talk about flipped, it could be beyond flipped. It could be into the makerspace. There's so many different ways to approach this, and often having the environments help make it happen. So this year we've got 2 more classrooms. We've got the call out right now to proposals from potential learning fellows, where those are coming in right now. By the time we come to NMC, we will have selected our new batch. So this is very relevant to what's going on right now.
I love that. Thanks for sharing, Wendy. I know that that's going to feed a lot of your conversations during summer conference. Who else would like to jump in and talk about some of their projects they're working on?
Well, I was just talking earlier about the whole MOOC adventure thing, and so it took me a while to kind of get into the mood of doing a MOOC, because I'm kind of the only one at my university who is going to probably do this for a while. Everybody's very interested in what that might look like, and I'm very interested in what that might look like. I've definitely followed it for a while. I waited, though, until things calm down and some research is coming out to talk about what is best related to best practices. But one of my disappointments, because I've attended quite a few MOOCs, was, for example, going into a game-based learning MOOC where the content was game-based learning, and it being another online course, basically, rather than having gamification, game-based theory as part of the design of the course. So, in my mind, where we're going to be innovative and stuff is actually applying the design of the things that we're talking about to the actual course. So instead of using words like module and discussion, we would be using words like quests and debates and the vocabulary that is related to the design that we're involved in. So I'm very interested in exploring what this means to apply our innovative learning design ideas and models to online and blended environments. And instead of, we're now saying traditional online teaching and learning. And some people haven't even gotten on the bandwagon of that online teaching and learning is relevant and valuable and just as good as, maybe sometimes better than face-to-face. And so I remember Chris Dede making a comment about, if you're not teaching blended here in the near future, you're going to be kind of committing, abuse or something. He made some kind of dramatic comment, of you're going to be unethical in not providing these opportunities. So I'm just very interested in what all of this is going to look like and kind of putting myself into that foray.
Well, good for you for taking that leap, and I think you're going to be able to share a lot of excellent insight and experience to the conference goers. Who would like to go next?
So, there's so many interesting projects. I sort of live in the world of a lot of projects connecting technology to different things going on at schools and universities, and trying to support them. And this whole notion of really trying to understand what making really means and how it moves beyond just sort of being something that's happening outside the classroom into an integral classroom experience becomes very central to the whole educational process. Is one thing we're working on, both in the secondary space with a lot of different schools, kind of in a very experimental way, because I think a lot of where this is going to emerge, and we'll kind of find out a lot just by learning best practices from trying some different things, hopefully guided with some theory. But we're also seeing that being very impactful even at the university level. There's this whole notion that we've gotten so theoretical, we've gotten so finely tuned about analyzing things that students have gotten very, very disconnected from the whole notion of, they could even get into digital modeling, but the connection back to actually how it is produced and created, and that it actually does surface in the real world, and how that ultimately impacts our thinking about the design. That loop is being completed. So some of the leading, what you think of as research institutions, are actually trying to find ways to kind of bring making back into the experience, and I think that's really pretty exciting stuff. Another project that I'm working on with a couple of different universities, it's all sort of based on the whole notion of design thinking and how we introduce that back into the curriculum. That somehow thinking about the entire process from conceptual design through fabrication and making, and getting people to think about not only picking up the technical skills, but learn how to listen, understand, and frame up the problem, and really decide what problems we're going to be solving, in addition to just teaching you, math and science and technology skills. It's very, very important to introduce the entire framework to work with that. And I think there's just an awful lot of very interesting projects going on trying to understand and quantify really what the impact and the value of reintroducing that is. So that's some of what I spend my time on, and I think that's going to show up in a lot of what we end up doing at the conference.
Wonderful. It's all very timely, and it ties in beautifully to so many of the conversations that are happening right now. So who would like to go next? Pierre or Jason?
Yes, thank you. I want to say that we have to think about today's classroom as if we had just invented school. And once we have this new design and we see how well it works, then we have to think, how can we bring this to the teacher training programs at university? Now, the funny thing is that I thought it was hard to change the classroom design in the K-12 situation, you know, but actually it's harder, even harder to bring that to universities. Now I teach in 2 universities, and I would say that it's harder there to change that design and everything we should do to actually bring changes to school.
Excellent. Well, I know that's going to be a hot topic that a lot of people are going to be interested in, especially our K-12 and higher ed folks. And next, Jason, care to speak a minute about what you're doing?
Sure. So here are some of my favorite things that will undoubtedly pop up in the keynote in the breakout. One is the augmented reality art galleries that I'm doing. So imagine you walk into an art gallery and you've got your iPad and you look at a piece of artwork up on the wall, and down floats, a video from the artist explaining her work, or more to the artwork that sort of completes it. And 2 articles are out floating around about that. If you're interested in that, you can just go to jasonohler.com, and it's somewhere there on the splash page. I'm real interested in augmented reality from the point of view that it's sort of the antithesis to spam. So it goes to that issue of how do we counteract the fact that we're now living in so much data we don't know what to do with it all. It makes sure that there's a very direct and relevant connection between at least 2 pieces of information. I teach for the Fielding Graduate University Media Psychology PhD program. I think we're the only media psychology PhD program, or one of the very few. And I teach critical thinking about media and digital storytelling and narrative structures, and how narrative structures have changed, especially in a world of transmedia where you're dealing with the coordination of a single story, or a story core, or what Tim Kring calls a story canon across several different channels, and you have gamification and you have fan involvement and so on. And that becomes important to you whether you're a teacher trying to teach through project-based learning or in a conventional curriculum, or you're trying to develop and disperse a brand globally. It's pretty much all the same sort of theory and concept, just how you work that out and how that actually happens changes depending upon your specific application. I work a lot with schools that I would call who are on the cusp, and so I work a lot with international schools. They're somewhat freed up from the No Child Left Behind, Common Core kind of stigma. A path that is emerging is the school within the school, or what they like to call the second track. Basically, given up on the idea that you're going to change traditional education, which now seems so entrenched in high-stakes testing that I just don't see that changing anytime soon. So the idea that's being cultivated is that you have a much smaller second track. It begins by being small, that doesn't pay any attention to that. And so you get to sort of placate the traditionalists. And over here, you have to show competency in being in creative command of new media, design-based thinking, and all those wonderful things. I'm just finishing up a digital citizenship MOOC. Again, through my splash page, you can just click on that. What I decided to do was I was teaching a graduate course on digital citizenship, and I decided to just make the course as public as I could possibly make it. And I made the conversation itself was based in a Google Plus community, so that anybody from anywhere could jump in to the curriculum, not have to pay for the course, but sort of add what they knew. And it's worked out really well. I'm calling mine not a MOOC because those are associated with 20 or 30,000 students through edX or Coursera or something. I'm calling mine an open access course because it has a much sort of smaller and more intimate feel, but it still has several hundred people in it. And I'm still doing a lot of work in the area of, I've been helping kids make stuff with technology for 33 years. Ever since you could plug somehow a video camera into a computer, and back in the old days that took $10,000 and a baseball bat and a shaman to make that happen, to where we are now, where it's just so easy that sort of old age has made me sort of step back a little bit and say, okay, I'm really interested in how they think about what they're doing, not so much what they're doing. So how do you help them develop that meta perspective that says, how does this connect me and disconnect me at the same time? And a lot of that focuses on their creating a digital footprint and how they want to be Googled. So the question becomes, how do I want the world to see me? Not just what do I want to be when I grow up, but who do I want to be when I grow up? And how would I represent that digitally to the world?
Well, it is absolutely evident with all of the exciting work you're doing why you are our opening keynote. Thank you.
Well, good.
Yes, saved. All right, so moving right along, let's actually talk some logistics now. Sam, can you tell us a little bit about how someone who can actually attend the summer conference could engage with us?
I'd be happy to. We know that some of you have travel restraints and might not be able to get there, though we really hope you'll be able to get there. But we're really excited that we have a YouTube and iTunes U presence. So we'll be videoing all the plenary sessions, including Jason's keynote, that take place at the conference, and they'll be up on our YouTube channel and also part of an iTunes U collection. And I'm excited to report that all of the social media platforms that will be available to you are published to the NMC event page. Alex will be dropping in the link to that. But beyond actually seeing video of the events, there's other ways to connect with us as well in real time. Facebook, we have a special summer conference Facebook page. We also are really active on Twitter, and we're using the hashtag NMC14. So for any NMC Summer Conference questions or discussions between now and then, please feel free to ask them with hashtag NMC14. Let's get the dialogue going early. We all know that so many people in the NMC are visual people and really good with the camera. So we have a special Flickr group where you can be uploading all of your photos for the summer conference and sharing them within the group. And if you associate Creative Commons privileges to them, the NMC staff will then be able to share those photos as part of our Facebook photo albums. Those are just a few of the ways. There's other methods as well. We'll be having a blog on Tumblr. We'll have a video and photo presence on Instagram. I encourage you to check out the event page and look at all the different ways that you could engage with us. And that being said, it's not just the NMC staff that makes the communications at the summer conference go round. We want your perspectives, and we want them often. So I would actually put a call out there to anyone who's interested in blogging about the summer conference and being a social media ambassador for the summer conference to contact me at samantha@nmc.org, and we'll see how we could work you into the official communications roster at the NMC Summer Conference. Be looking forward to talking to you about that.
And a bit more on logistics. Nancy, can you talk to us a bit about where we're going to be staying?
Yes, a contract has been signed, and we have a block of rooms at the Hilton downtown Portland and Executive Tower. And the rates this year are only $159, so it's a great rate, and hope that can be affordable for everybody. You can find all the travel and lodging information on our website, and you can make your reservations online. The deadline to make your reservation is May 9th to ensure that you get the special rate and there's room available. If you have any questions or problems, feel free to let me know at nancy@nmc.org.
I know earlier you shared about the conference orientation, but could you talk just a second for us about the pre-conference workshops?
Yes, we have many pre-conference workshops to share with you. As I mentioned earlier, just added yesterday was a new street photography workshop. And that's going to be in 3 parts. It's going to start Monday night from 6 to 9 on an actual photo shoot. And again, it's street photography, so you're going to be walking the streets of downtown Portland, which has many, many interesting activities. And then they're going to go on a photo shoot again Tuesday morning from 8 to 1. And then Tuesday from 2 to 4, they're going to come back to the hotel, to the Hilton, and have a critique session where you can upload your photos into a video that's going to be made and shown during one of the plenary event conference. So we're really excited about that. That's going to be hosted by Neil Santana and Kyle Dixon with Abilene Christian University. Yeah, and then we have one all-day workshop that's called Video Games 101, Let's Make a Video Game in a Day. And that's going to be presented by Jared Bendis with Case Western University, and should be really exciting. He's an excellent instructor. Just everybody always loves his sessions. The next one is one that Julia has talked about previously, Innovative Models and Strategies for Designing Learning Environments. And that's going to be on Tuesday morning from 9 to 12. Paul is presenting Getting Started Creating an iTunes U course. That will be on Tuesday from 1 to 4. And then, as Sam alluded to, one of her favorite pathways to share is 3D printing. There's going to be an amazing class called Learn to Make CAD-Free 3D Print Files, and that's going to be from 1 to 4 on Tuesday. And they're going to have all kinds of a MakerBot 3D scanner, a 3D pen, laptops with special programs on it, 123D Cat. I think that's going to be a really fun and popular workshop. Registration, you can just register for these online when you register for the conference. And if you've already registered and you decide you would like to go to one of the pre-conference workshops, just send me an email, again, at nancy@nmc.org, and we'll get that taken care of for you.
One of my favorite things we started last year was the Idea Lab. And we actually have Wendy kind of run the whole show. She's the chief in charge. So Wendy, can you talk to us just for a minute about the Idea Lab?
Right. Now, if I say anything wrong, jump in and correct me, Holly.
Okay.
But it seems, this is, you might want to say, oh, but it's kind of a poster session, but it's not. As I understand, it was kind of like, well, there were originally posters and there was an art show, and how might that be blended together? And then let's not just have posters, let's have 3D models, let's just have ideas.
Yeah.
And of course, the people that are behind the ideas are there with what they're presenting. Another thing that's unique about this is that there's a time slot set aside for Idea Lab. Right? It's not, so there's no conflict with another session at that same time. So you literally have that, you don't have to get pulled away in any way from anything else going on. What happens is we actually have a series of judges that go through and look at the presentations that are up there with the people, talking to them, and that's kind of set to one side. And then it's opened up to everybody at the conference and all the experiences that are going on and connections. We actually made a great connection with the University of Michigan last year that was also working on learning spaces and had this great model. But anyway, this is where these kind of things, you get to meet people and who you're going to hang out with even in the evening. It's a way to gather together. And then after we hit a certain point in time, then we present these great ribbons in terms of winners, based on there is the conference attendees judge by using little buttons, and the judges judge, and so there's all different ways that these ideas are presented, and then where winners come out. So did I leave anything out of that?
No, it really was a big sandbox last year, and it was so cool to play in it and learn in it, and I definitely enjoyed it. So I'm really excited to see all of the new ideas coming out this year and the ways that are presented, because I think there's so many new avenues to sharing your ideas, especially.
So let me jump in with one. I have to showcase one for, Holly mentioned Jared Bendis, who's from our university. He had an idea out there, and he was doing, if you remember those stereoscopic ways of seeing 3D, and I don't know what Jared would have to tell me when, way like in the turn of the century. And he had those stereoscopic glasses looking at these old medical images of disease. Jared won.
Yes.
Anyway, it's extraordinary.
I also want to add that lunch will be served during this event. I believe 11:15 to 2:15. So it allows quite a bit of time for people to walk through and view all the presentations, and then stop and have a break and have lunch. And so we certainly invite everybody to attend that.
That's a win in my book. So next I want to talk just briefly about the corporate partner showcase. So I thought maybe Nancy, you could talk for a minute, and then we can get some of Glenn's insights into what Autodesk is going to do.
We're going to do the corporate partner showcase a little bit different this year. In the past, the partner showcase has been at the opening reception on Tuesday night. But after talking to several of the partners, we have decided to have the exhibits available on Wednesday and Thursday during the conference, and they'll be located close to the registration desk. You'll have 2 days now to visit with the partners instead of just that one night, and we think that makes it more open for everybody to get an opportunity to visit. Now, for anybody that is a partner out there, I've had a couple of questions about, well, what if I want to attend sessions? And of course, a lot of the partners are presenting at sessions and they want to attend sessions. So, the expectation is be sure to catch the partners during breaks and during lunchtime, and the opening when registration's getting started in the morning and things like that. It should give ample time for you to visit with those people.
Thank you. So tell me, Glenn, what are you guys thinking about for the partner showcase?
Well, we're going to have a pretty full contingent of folks there because we really want to give people the opportunity to not only see some great work that is being done, so we're bringing some artifacts from the gallery, great exhibits to kind of explain how a lot of the technology is used to create some things that are very powerful educational tools. We'll also be bringing technology to let people actually experience it themselves. So when people come by, if they'd like to sort of have some experience with creating a 3D model by taking photographs, or just starting to move 3D models in a very clay-like sculpting way or in a very more hardline way, or even print them out there right on the site, we're going to have the technology available to let people be able to just jump right in and experience yourself and just see how easy it is to get started with these things. We'll be featuring a lot of sort of examples of how this technology is being used in classroom projects, the way they're going on today with some of the things we're being involved with and classroom projects we're supporting. But also, we're very interested in engaging with people about, hey, given all this technology and all these ideas you're getting from the conference, come talk to us about projects that you'd be interested in getting some support for and how we can engage with you to help you out in that way. So to us, that showcase and the activity that we can sort of build around that is really a fantastic opportunity to reach out, connect with people, and put a lot of relationships in place for things that we want to be doing in the year ahead. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I know I will definitely be hitting up Autodesk at that partner showcase. Thank you, Glenn.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Sam, what should press do if they're interested in joining us at Summer Conference?
That's a great question. We welcome all press near and far to attend the conference. Of course, we're going to have our own blog about the conference, as we talked about, but we really want to broaden that perspective. So we already have some writers interested in coming. And if you're out there and you're a writer and you're interested in attending, we definitely want to find a way to get you there. So please email me at samantha@nmc.org, and we'll make it work. We'll get to talking and get you over there.
I want to take a minute again to thank everybody for joining us for this On the Horizon event. We are very excited to share these monthly events with you and look forward to seeing you in Portland this summer at our summer conference. Don't forget, mark your calendars, June 17th through the 19th.